So there's a new development going on, and I'm not really sure if I should actually invest in it.
The estate agent told me that there will be a mall that's going to be built close to that development. So, should I invest in this property or not? Watch until the end of the whole video to truly understand when we're speaking about development, what does it mean? It's week 2 of our 30-day challenge. Quite excited about it, man.
I really love the lives. So if you didn't actually join us on the live, make sure that on Saturday you actually book out Saturday so that we can have a talk about how can we actually invest in property better.
Today we're speaking about strategy, so we're breaking down the strategies and we're focusing on development. What does development mean? So development, we're speaking about buying in, whether it's apartment or townhouses or houses in an area that is being newly developed. So potential is still at its peak at that point in time. A lot of times when it comes to development, the term that will be used, you know that level, they always use this on you, that it will appreciate in due time.
I think
How does
this
that
is
sound?
sounds.
You really enjoy that, right?
I do, I do. It sounds. It
You do.
sounds.
Sure.
I don't.
I thought as much, man. I thought as much.
I don't.
You're on pilot mode.
So now, when you're looking at going into development, right? I like that you actually spotted out the fact that this might actually be a speculation.
Yeah.
We're not really sure if the property is actually going to appreciate as much as the estate agent would actually assume, right? So now I know with your development, especially how they actually term it and how they actually say that the growth in the market will be, you're not really sure if the growth will actually be that way until you have actually gotten that particular price. So every time you do actually go into a property, ask yourself that, are you sure of the facts? I mean, looking at me, if I'm actually going to be buying a property that's below market value, I already know that the true value of the property is sitting at 600,000, for example. And if I'm actually going to be buying at 400,000, already I know that if I was to actually fix this property to be in good standing, I can actually sell it at 600,000.
So using the strategy of development level, one of the key points for investors that are looking at it is the wear and tear of the property. I mean, you'll be looking at, if I'm buying a property that has been standing for 20 years, but now with this opportunity, they're like literally building it right now. So that's one of the key things that will drive property investors to buying that apartment. But now you as a property investor need to understand at what cost. As much as it's fairly new, and then now what are the cost implications associated to that property? That, okay, I did buy a property that was built right recently. However, am I buying the property because I'm buying properties that are new, or am I buying property because of return on investment, or am I buying properties based on equity so that I know that I can buy my next property? So as a property investor, as much as they are new, one question that you should always be asking yourself is, what is really, I understand the strategy is rental. However, what am I truly looking out for within rental? Am I looking out for money that will sustain me, or am I looking for money that will sustain my business, or am I looking for putting money in a project and I'm looking for maybe 10 to 20 years, that's when I'll be selling it to get money out. So it's very important to understand the intention of that before going into development.
Yeah.
And also, if somebody's looking into development for flip, it will be a problem. So why am I saying that development for flip? With developers, it's very, you know that it's fairly new. So the competition, especially they might have not been on the market for so long, whereby the seller is already, or the developer in this case, is stranded. So even in a lot of cases when it comes to development, it's rare whereby you can negotiate them down to a certain extent. An example, if the developments are, let's just say the developments in Centurion are going for about 1.2 million, and then now I want to negotiate them to 700,000. They are not at that point whereby they're stranded or they want to sell as quick as possible. Instead, what developers do to sell better is that there'll be more add-ons on the property itself. So you find out that you find a fridge, a built-in stove, also tiles. In that way, that will actually rather pull you. They'll tell you that this is why you need to buy.
So now, when you're looking at not buying developments, right? Because I know that you're not a fan of actually buying developments for property investing purposes. What would be the main reason why you're saying that, you know what, I don't really enjoy investing in development?
For me personally, is that what's the strategy that we are following is that equity is a thing. So when I'm speaking about equity, I'm speaking about buying it below market value and knowing that I own X amount from that property because I would like to use that to buy in the next property. So with development, tying a knot with what we just spoke about right now is that you know that you're buying it at market value. So if I'm buying a development at market value, it's going to be quite hard for me to actually move on to the next if I'm looking at my situation in terms of affordability. I am in that stage whereby my credit is not X. It's not so much whereby I can buy 10 properties at one go. So how do I grow if I know that I'm in that position? That's a question that you need to be asking yourself, that, okay, I know that my affordability is at 1 million and this development is at 950,000. So if I'm buying this property at market value because I can't negotiate them down, what does that mean in terms of my growth? This is one of the key reasons why a lot of people feel stuck in their property journey, because they bought the development at market value. Okay, I can see that. Let's just say that I am running at a cash flow positive of 600 rand. Now I truly need to ask myself, will I be living like this for the next 20 years?
Yeah.
Now, I'd also like to understand, why wouldn't you go into development?
So the main reason why I wouldn't actually go into development, right, is that whenever I'm actually going to be investing in a property, when I buy the property, I'm already thinking about selling the property. So be it if I'm actually going to be flipping the property or if I'm going to be renting this particular property, I need to make sure that before I actually sign the offer to purchase, I'm able to sell that property. So now looking at development, if I'm actually going to be buying it at market value, the problem will be that the people that are actually marketing this particular development, they already have an upper hand, right? So I need to get an estate agent that will be able to actually sell this property at a faster pace than the developers. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if I was to sell it, am I still going to be making a profit? Because remember, we also talk about the 6 months that you can actually be investing in properties. So if I'm going to wait for 6 months only to run at a loss, I'm already looking at a huge problem that I have with this particular property. So now I know that if I'm actually buying a property right now, I'm able to rent it out. After renting it out, 6 months later, I need to actually sell this particular property. I can then sell it off and I'll still make a profit. If that's the case, then I'm good to go. However, if I can't actually do that, then this is not a deal that I'm actually looking to go into.
Before we wrap up, I want to come quite strong when it comes to development, right? So I want to come up with a pro and con, and then I'll give you the opportunity to also discuss about that.
Pro and con, okay.
A pro and con. Now, looking at a pro and con of development, looking at the pro, I've seen a property whereby it actually doubled within 10 years. Whereas if you do speak to an estate agent, like most of the time when you're speaking with them, asking them that, okay, what's the probability of growth or with this property that I'm looking at? And they'll be like, we're looking at 5% increase annually. So that is one of the biggest pro that one can look at. However, it happened for that development doesn't necessarily mean will happen for all developments. So that's something that you should be aware of. That's one of the biggest pro. A con that I've seen with development was that the property was bought and then only to find out that next door, because there was land, so there was these apartments right next door to it, government built RDP houses. So what that did directly had a knock towards not only the prices at that point in time, also the growth, because now it was projected that it was going to be something similar to the first situation that we spoke about. However, that was not the case. So now sometimes you actually find people that purchased this, whether it was cash or whether it was the credit, but now they feel as if they've been hard done because now the value is impacted in a bad way. So that's something to consider with development, is that it's out of your control as a property investor. And I guess the thing with us is that we like being in control. I like to know that I'm buying it at X amount and I'm buying it at X amount and the real market value is at X amount. So even though I know that I won't force the buyers to buy it at that X amount, however, there's a possibility I can persuade them. Whereas with the prices that other side, it's totally up to determined by the market. And for you,
most definitely. So now when you're looking at your pros and the cons for actually buying a development, so now firstly, I would like to actually start with the cons. Looking at developments that are especially going around in Johannesburg, they don't meet the 1% rule. So what the 1% rule basically says is that your property that you are actually buying it, I need to be able to rent it at 1% of how much I'm actually buying this particular property at. So now looking at that already, most developments don't really qualify with that 1% rule. So now if I can't actually be getting any profit from this property, I mean, I'm not buying into, I'm sorry, disclaimer alert, I'm not buying into this notion that property is a long-term investment and I need to make a loss for the next 10 years. Then only after 10 years, I'll start making 25 rand. That's not for me. I need to make money from the day the tenant actually comes in. So now looking at that particular situation, I don't want to find myself in a situation whereby I'm actually taking money out, be it that it's for levies, rates and taxes, or my bond. I don't want to be actually taking out money. I need money to be actually coming to me. Most of them don't actually reach the 1% rule. The pro about it, right, is that I don't really have to worry about security measures, right? Because now the developer, I'm assuming that the developer already has a security on point to actually guard everything and every car that's within the premises of the apartments. So now I don't have to worry that I'm parked outside and somebody might actually steal my car. I don't have to worry about putting in burglar gates that somebody might actually come in, because they already have security measures in terms of cameras, in terms of the gates being actually automated. So with that in consideration, I already know that my property is actually secure.
So I guess it will depend on location again, because one development to another might be in different locations.
Yeah.
Whereby you know that even though your car is parked outside in that development, it's a problem. So location again. I really enjoyed talking about strategy, specifically focusing on development. Hope you guys did, and I hope that you guys got a lot out of this. We're really excited about this, man. It's week 2. We're still getting stronger. Hope to see you this weekend on Saturday. Let's go live.
Cheers.
Cheers.